Have you had a traumatic past with community? Have you been struggling with being in isolation and finding ways to move forward? What about the challenges, about the confidence you need to bring what's in you to light in community? Today we get into that and more in my conversation with none other than Jarael Cosmano. She is somebody who's been close to me in a lot of different ways, part of the staff of the Unshackled Network, a microchurch ministry that I lead, as well as a former co-host with me on the Fury and Friend show. But more importantly than that, she is a child of God who I've seen God move through in a lot of different ways. And she, like many of you, is on a creative journey looking to see how the Lord may continue to strengthen and empower her to allow the stories that He's put in her to get out. I hope you're going to resonate with the conversation today. So let's go ahead and get right into the discussion. Hey, you guys, what is going on? Welcome into our episode here, the final episode of the first month here. We've been focusing on community this month, which is a no-brainer as we are representing a community, the Ordered Chaos Club. And I want to make sure that you get to know Jarael, as well as there'll be other co-hosts that will be joining us throughout this podcast. It's going to be a really fun time. And today I'm super pumped for you guys to get to know a little bit about one of my favorite people, Jarael Cosmano, who has been kind of rocking with me in a lot of different avenues. This is our second show that we've done together now. Yeah. We used to have a show called Fury and Friends, and now we're rocking this out here on these ensemble episodes. So Jarael, as we get into these conversations today around community and creativity and kind of the need for the benefits of that, as we've been talking about that throughout this whole season, before we get into all of that deep stuff, why don't you give the wonderful people here watching or listening a little bit of a couple minutes on who you are?
Okay, well, my name is Jarael, and I'm a wife, I'm a mother. I do tax accounting for work, not for fun. As far as creative, I feel like I come from a family of creatives, but I've always not felt creative because my parents could sing, my dad plays the bass guitar, all my relatives can sing, act, they do all these wonderful things, and then I'm like, I don't do anything. But I do have a love for writing. I used to love writing short stories as a kid, and I still do, but I'm just not as eager to share my talents as my family members are. So I guess that made me feel not creative. And then I do a lot of card making. And so as I've gotten older, I'm like, well, you are creative. You just don't share your creativity. So I feel like the Ordered Chaos Club is a great fit because it's like, there's people encouraging you. It's just like a community of people, whether they feel creative or they love being creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's, I'm so glad you even shared that. I didn't know that you were going to go there in this first part. I think we need to have a whole month or at least a full episode really diving into that, because that I think is for a lot of people, one of the core, we're definitely going to have a full episode on this. Because one of my core convictions around creativity is something that may be controversial for some and people might not all agree with. I believe that everyone is creative.
Mm-hmm.
I think that creativity is on a spectrum. Actually, you can check out a blog post, you guys, that I did on that at the orderchaosclub.com. But I believe creativity is on a spectrum, and that it's not that you're creative or you're not creative. It's to what level are you tapping into that, leaning into that, nurturing it? You know, just like any muscle. It's not like no one has muscles. It's some just work them out. Some, believe that it's important. Some like really want that to be a strength in their life, And I think what I heard in your story, and I wasn't trying to make this a deep interview, and you already, Jarael. But what I heard just in that couple minutes there is, I think, something that happens in different forms to a lot of people at a young age. It's like when you have kids, that are, all in a classroom, like kindergarten or whatever, no one needs to like tell them to be creative. You know what I mean? Like they're
Yes.
just flowing their creativity. But what happens is there's things in their environment, be it, as they're looking at other people and they're comparing their art to other people, or they hear someone who says something, they drew a horse and someone walks by like, that looks like a dog.
Mm,
And now suddenly they are
yep.
insecure about their
Mm-hmm.
creativity. And so
Mm-hmm.
they start to tuck it away and they don't want to bring it out. And I think that ends up squashing a lot of the amazing creativity that I believe God has actually put inside of each and every one of us. So I'm excited as we go on this journey to continue to be a part of community that's helping to nurture that even in you,
Yeah.
that you can have more comfortability around it. And I say that from the standpoint of I myself am not done with that process
Yeah.
and have gone through levels of that. I mean, I in my Beats, Bars, and Bible ministry, I'm in there with the co-founder of that, Jonathan, who's an amazing rapper. And I rap, quote unquote. And see,
Yeah.
even just doing this is like
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like that's my insecurity showing
Yep.
here.
Yep.
Because I don't want to like lean into that because I know my rapping compared to his and other rappers that I really love isn't as good.
Mhm.
Like this right here lets you know I am not a finished work. I need the Lord to continue to give me that creative confidence.
Yes.
One of the things I think we can definitely gain in community. So for those of you guys who are brand new, sorry. Hi, my
Hello.
name's Arman, also known as Pastor Fury, and I am the founder of the Order Chaos Club, and I'm excited about things that we're going to be getting to do together. We do definitely want to invite you to come along this journey with us, whether that's just through enjoying watching or listening to the podcast, which you should subscribe to. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can hit the like button right now, or you actually deciding to get on in the club itself. And you can go ahead and get on that wait list now. We'll have a link in the description, or you can just go to ordercastclub.com. But I have been on a journey of exploring creativity for all my life. Actually, the keyboard that I have back here behind me, that was a gift. I mean, one of the things I love about it. It was a gift from my grandmother who has passed on, and she passed away, quite some time ago, probably like 20 years ago at this point. But she was one of the biggest influences in my life, and I don't even remember at what age, but it was like maybe 9 or 10. She got that keyboard for all three of me and my two brothers, and we would take turns playing on it. And this was back in the day when we were like you would have your maybe you didn't do this, but you would have your favorite songs that would come on the radio, and
Yeah.
then you might get another tape recorder and record that.
Yeah.
Make your own little ghetto mixtapes,
Exactly.
So we were doing that, and we were making songs and stuff, and like why am I saying this? But like one of my first rap names was double A, and I don't even know where that came from because I don't have like another A in my name. It's just
All right.
Arman. And my older brother's name is Khalil, and he would go by Kool-Aid. Like
Oh,
we were
yeah.
we were just having fun, and that keyboard was kind of like at the heart of a lot of that, fun. It had like those really
The little
janky,
beats.
cheesy sounding
Yeah.
beat. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like so, but I remember when I went off to college, there would be a thing where we would take turns and who get to have it for a while. And I brought it with me, and then I would bring it home. And then eventually they just realized I was the one who appreciated it the most, and they let me keep it. And
Oh,
even
that's
to this
cool.
day, I can connect that thing to my computer, and I made a lot of the sounds off of my album. So, oh yeah, I created a hip hop album. uh, there's songs on it that I like. There's some that I'm just like, why did I put that out? Because it was just I was moving really fast. I'm in the process of making a documentary. One of the other co-hosts that will be joining us likely throughout this podcast series, he's also working on the editing of that. So I've dipped my toes in a lot of different creative stuff, and it's probably in the past 6 years where I finally really started embracing the fact that I'm a creative. And even though it was very clear that there was that in there, but my insecurities were so great that I really didn't want to lean into the title, because when you get the title, then comes the expectations. Well,
Exactly.
you know, say
Exactly.
I'm a creative, then people are going to expect creative output.
Yes.
So,
Where's the content?
yeah, exactly. Now prove it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, anyways, that's who we are, and today we're going to be talking about creativity and kind of some of the experiences that we've had with that, but more even just creativity, but community, and how community has maybe impacted our creativity. So let's start with that. How has being part of community helped to accelerate your own personal growth? If you have any moments or experiences where support in just in general in community has made a difference in your journey.
Honestly, in my faith journey, community has been like really, really important. And I'm even like seeing the importance of that now that I'm not really in a community of faith. It's like there's just some things like when you're wrestling with things, it's like it helps to have people to bounce that things off of, or just people to speak into your life when you're going through something, because it's like you can't always see outside of the bubble that you're in.
Right.
So honestly, I think community in any aspect of your life is important, because you need encouragement. You need sometimes you need some criticism, constructive criticism. I think,
Yeah.
yeah. So I love community. I love accountability. I love people speaking into your life, coming around to help. I just think that community is important in every aspect of your life.
Yeah, and to that, and I know, and to whatever level you're comfortable sharing, you dropped that you're not currently in community. Do you want to
Yeah.
share a little bit about like the reason why and the challenges behind getting in community as you talk about the importance
Yeah.
of it?
Yeah, I had an experience at a church that, left me feeling like a little shaken about just being in a community. So I was just out in the wilderness per se. And then I did find a community that I really loved. And then I ended up moving to the state of Texas. And so just having those two different experiences, one that just didn't end well, one that I just felt like people loved and embraced me. So now
Yeah.
when I visit churches here, it's like almost like I'm comparing those two feelings. Like, oh, that community feels like that old thing that I don't want to be
Right.
a part of. And then this new community, it kind of feels like the new one, but not all the way. Like, so
Right.
I'm just kind of like warring really probably more so with myself in terms of like, if I feel safe here? That's really what it's
Mm.
about for me now. Is this place safe for me? Because I feel like once I let my hair down and kick my shoes off, and then it's like it's not safe, I don't know what's gonna happen. Then I might not ever.
Yeah. That's so huge. Like I was just doing an episode recording that's going to be part of next month when we focus on the power of story, but with a woman who leads an online community herself, and she talked about the reason for developing it is to have a safe space, and
Mhm.
that's kind of what I believe like the Ordered Chaos Club is intending to be, is a safe space. Not that it replaces church,
Yeah.
but like the whole idea around these communities should be, this is a place where you can be yourself, where
Mhm.
you feel loved and not judged, where you feel uplifted and encouraged, and yes, challenged, and
Yeah.
called to account for the things that we say we believe and that we say that we're pursuing. But like it's done enough, like it's all the differences between a healthy family and a
Yep.
dysfunctional family. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's people, when you meet people out in the world today and they start talking about their childhood stories, like there's ones where they're like, I couldn't wait to leave home and
Mhm.
get away, or I had this issue later on in life because of it. And then there's people that are like, man, my relationship with my mom and dad is amazing, and like we
Yeah.
do we still
Exactly.
go on trips together, and you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's because there were some that had a safe
Mhm.
environment there where they were nourished and welcomed and celebrated, and and it's like
Yes.
you want to be a part of that for as long as you can. And then there's the other ones where it's like, I gotta get out of
Yes.
this so I can actually live and
Yes.
experience life and growth and all that God has for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hear that as you talk about your different stories where you had a painful one, and then you experienced a good one, and then it was like, okay, now start all over.
Right.
And it's like all the different communities now are being lined up against those. It's
Yeah.
like, is this triggering, unsafe? And it's what's the struggle now for you, I'm betting, is like it doesn't even necessarily mean that all of these would end up being like the community that triggered you or that
Mm-hmm.
was unsafe to you. But as soon as you see one thing that could
Yeah.
be,
Yes, that's
yeah,
exactly what it is.
yeah,
Because there is a
yeah,
place that I'm like, this could be home. But yeah, it's like there's little trigger points where I'm like,
yeah. Oh, it's like the red flags, right? It's like, oh, that's a red flag. I don't know. And like maybe it's just a yellow flag, but
yeah,
it could lead to a red flag.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I will continue to pray for you in that because I do know, and as you know, the importance of community, as you just said
Mhm.
yourself. And now I think what's interesting is the follow up I'd have for that is let's talk about creative community specifically. I feel like that's something that is less common and probably even less understood to be something that people would want or should have. Do you
Yeah,
have any experiences with any sort of community focused on creativity?
I don't. I mean, well, my family when I lived back in Illinois,
Yeah,
we'd get together like once a year for like a craft night, and we'd make like all these Christmas crafts. That's the
yeah,
extent of the community. But I think like it's something that's necessary for sure.
yeah.
And I hear, but these writing groups or, like people
Right.
actually even you guys that meet for Beats, Bars, and Bible, even though that's more of like a ministry, but that's like a community of people with a shared,
Yeah,
love of music. So I think people really
absolutely.
thrive in those communities.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we were creating it, that was really like I in my head, I wasn't like, oh, I need to create a creative community for people that love Jesus. Like that wasn't it. But
Mm.
I was definitely tapping into the fact that this community will be for people who love hip hop, which there's that tapped in nature of the creative elements
Mhm.
and using that as a way to foster conversations
Yeah.
around, life in Christ, and so it has now that we've worked it out, it has really become a little creative community. For some, they're like leaning into like, let's make music. And for others, they're like, I need to talk about where Jesus shows up in my life. And then I'll listen to the music y'all make. So
Yeah.
it works that way. Um, for me personally, I didn't really have any sort of creative communities other than I remember when I was in high school, um, I was part of, oh gosh, how do I tell these stories? I was I was part of this unofficial official group of like misfit dorks. We were the people that would do stage crew,
Okay.
that were like kind of like the actor rejects. It's like if we were being honest, we wanted to be on the stage,
Okay.
but maybe for different reasons we didn't quite make the cut here or
Yeah.
there. And in a lot of different ways we were looked at as the losers. So we actually this is what I've always called my 8 Mile philosophy. We actually just embraced the negative ways that people might look at us and just made that like our hallmark. And we literally there's like 6 of us. We literally got T-shirts made that said losers.
Just so you know, we
So
clearly
this
are.
tells you a little bit about my struggles with insecurities. So, I bring that up because we were our own little creative community, and like we were all in like the tech classes and the radio and TV classes, and we'd be the dorks with all the cameras and stuff, and
Oh,
you
that's
know,
cool.
doing that sort of stuff. But like that was probably my first, experience with anything that I would call a creative community. But then most recently, and I think that was part of inspiring the need for this was as I was learning how to make documentary films, I joined. I actually signed up for a course. That's all I thought I was signing up for, called the Art of Documentary, and they've got multiple courses. And when you sign up for the course, you get invited into this Facebook group. And as they've continued to sell courses, there's now like thousands of people that are in this thing. And then somewhere along the lines, even though I'd never actually finished a documentary, somebody, like, how the Lord will just put you in the right situation to talk to the
Yes.
right people. I got shoulder tapped to be one of the leaders of a beta program of small groups. They had like 4 leaders. I don't think thousands of people globally. They picked me. I made a right impression on the right person. And so I was one of the small group leaders of this thing. And we actually literally just had a random gathering this past, actually it was right after our staff meeting. Oh, that was the meeting I was getting to. But the reason why I bring this up is there is a beautiful thing happening amongst all the people that are part of this Art of Documentary community, where they're sharing ideas and thoughts and collaborating on work together. But the place where I struggle was in this small group, that there's so many different worldviews that are engaging there, that I found that I was able to be myself creatively and talk about the art. But then when it came to like actually bringing in who I was fully, it really didn't feel like this would be the context, that this would really make sense here. So it was not fully a safe place for me in that regard. And that was when I was like, man, I was really enjoying community, but then I was seeing where it was falling short just a bit for me. And I was like, you know what? What if there was something like this, but like for the people of God, where I'm not feeling like I need to, watch how I say this and monitor how much Jesus I bring into the conversation, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was really kind of the thing that brought me to the thought of the value of creating something like the Order Chaos Club. So
Yeah.
So I'm excited about seeing how this continues to develop, and I'm looking forward to the next season of this, as we really fully launch sometime next month, right? You can join the wait list now, but the community really launches next month. But I'm looking forward to actually launching small and doing some like accountability groups and like small group type of thing, and not just like this massive like chat room sort of thing, but really getting to know each other and growing together, and allowing people to come in small batches, so that we can really give people great experiences while they're in there, as well as soon as they get started. So cool. So let's keep it going. So we often talked about the importance of community, but I don't want to trigger you. But what have been some challenges or struggles that you've experienced in seasons, either of isolation or in seasons within community? What have been some of the challenges? Let's first talk about, we will maybe go to the not so triggering part. Let's first talk about challenges that you've experienced when you didn't have community and you recognized the need for it.
I think, well, when you're in isolation, I think that is just a playground for the enemy to come in and just tell you all the things that you're not, all the things that you're not doing right, not doing wrong. It's too late for you, like anything negative you could think of. And then you don't have anybody to like counteract that, because you're not in community. And obviously you can speak into your own mind, but when you start to just meditate on those things, and it's like, man. And then community, the negative about being in community is I feel like when you feel safe and then something happens and you no longer feel safe and you showed up at this place, as your authentic self, then you're just kind of left like, man, I honestly, I still feel like I don't know what that was. I have yet to reconcile what really happened, if I'm being honest. So I feel
Mm.
like it's one of those things that just kind of leaves you bewildered, and yeah, and so then your safety is shaken. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, it's hard to get back into something knowing that, okay, if I show up here my authentic self and it's like, well, it's good, but it's not all the way good. Like, I don't like that part of you. So could you knock that
Mm.
off? Kind of thing. So I do feel like but I do feel like in isolation it's really hard because it's like you do need those people to say, you know what? No, that's not right. That's a dumb thought you're having. This is amazing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Quit saying that. Quit talking to yourself.
Yeah.
My friends, if I say something negative, my friend will say, "Don't talk about my friend like that." And I'll be like,
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
so
That's
yeah,
good.
community is important for sure.
Yeah, that self-talk when you're dealing with the isolation,
Hmm.
like you really become more acquainted with the self-talk that you have going on, whether it's positive or negative. You get really aware of the narrative that you've got going. And
Yeah.
like I think moments of, you know, um individual self-reflection are good so you can discern like what's going with me and that sort of thing, so you're not like
Hmm.
always
Yeah.
surrounded by outside voices. But too long, um you're definitely going to start to be uh what does the word say, that you're gonna be self-deceived, like you're gonna
Hmm.
start to believe things that are lies
Yeah.
about who you are and
Yeah.
about what's true of God is and the way the world is. and
Hmm.
and that's tricky because the way that the enemy shows up is he often sounds like you.
Yes.
Right? He doesn't come with another voice. Like he's not like, "Rrr, rrr." He's not
Yeah.
a dark, twisted voice where you can be like, "Oh, that's a lie." It's your
Exactly.
voice. It's
Exactly.
you. It's like your inner monologue that he's now convincing you is what's true, and like, oh, you could never, be of anything of value, and
Hmm.
what you do is not work. Like these are the as I even build out this community, these are the thoughts and the voices that I need to work on squashing. And it's fun. Like I'm building this creative community for, all sorts of creatives who are looking to follow Jesus. And in the building of it, I realized, and I literally just realized this last week, I need community, a community of people who actually lead community.
Yeah.
Because like there's special ways in which the enemy is trying to come against the mindset needed to do this thing, and even
Exactly.
just to lead any sort of business,
Hmm.
like and this, I've always struggled with any sort of business. Like my whole life, everything I do, it's just like, it's free, y'all, it's free, just take it all. And like there's a version of it that's like because of my generosity,
Yeah.
but the reality is
Hmm.
a lot of it too is, once even it stops being generous, it's really now it's just my insecurities that don't believe anything that I ever create could be worth value,
Yeah. No
could
one
actually
pay
be
for
something.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, 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 So there's an unhealthy thing in there. So there's the balance in there. But like that stuff that I need community in order to get counteracted, get to have a counterbalance to the lies, and that's why it's so important that we stay in communities, so important that we stay in the word, right? Like the renewal of our mind. That's where the word is like, and here's the truth. Because every
Exactly.
day, like you're not just like here's what's funny is like we often think that we're just walking around having this neutral experience. Then we might go, into prayer, or we might go into the word and be uplifted. But the truth is, there's really only two things ever happening.
Yeah.
You're either going the one way or the other. You're never like sitting,
Whatever. Whatever.
So, like, if you're not having the truth poured into you, you're now receiving the constant of all the other lies, that are looking to, move you the other direction. So it's either meditating on the truth, actively getting the truth, being surrounded by people that'll point out the truth, or you're meditating on the lies.
Yeah.
You're listening to other lies that are coming in. So yeah. Where did all that? I don't even remember what the question was.
Something about isolation.
Yeah. Get in community. Get out of your head. Isolation is the devil's playground.
Yeah.
And for creatives, I think it can even be worse, because we can even be creative with the
Exactly.
Yeah. So, all right. So as creatives, we often work on things that are tapping into who we are, and it feels very personal. And I think you even kind of mentioned this being a struggle, because sharing what you kind of put your fingerprints all on in community can be a very vulnerable place for you. And I don't know if you even have an answer to this yet, or this is like where you're trying to like get that victory. How do you balance being open enough in community to grow and receive feedback, whether it's creatively or even just personally, while also protecting your sense of identity, even creative identity?
That's a good
That's a deep
question. I do think that's something that I am still working towards, both creatively and just personally, like letting that guard down enough to say, okay, this is who I am. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And this is what I wrote. I feel like when in terms of creativity, I would probably be more open to this point of my life actually to share that more so than actually sharing myself, my entire self in the community of faith. Um, just because I do feel like when there is that blockage, so you do have to find that balance, because then it's like God gave you this gift and you're just holding it back. You're being selfish because of your thoughts, your insecurities. You're not sharing that gift with others. And it's like, that's a negative to the kingdom. So it's like, get those
Right.
creative juices flowing, find somebody. I think it's really about finding people that you trust, but not that they're all yes men too. Like, oh,
Yeah.
great, this is great. Yeah.
That I'm so glad you said that, because I've had that same experience. That was really going to be what I was going to point to. It's getting trusted people, and like that the reason why you often have people who are just going to like gas you up and just tell you the good things is because the truth is they only say that because there's actually not yet really a real trust
Okay.
to that relationship. You
Yeah.
know, you don't give, unless you're a jerk, you don't give somebody the truth about a place where they could grow, or feedback, or this,
Yeah.
I think this could change, unless there's like an actual mutual respect and a trust. And
Mhm.
we've done this thing where, what I say here, I'm saying in love, and I'm
Exactly.
saying for your best. And I want to see you continue to thrive. And I believe if this thing that I'm seeing right now gets corrected or removed, that you're going to continue to have
Yes.
success. And that happens in communities of trust.
Yes.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
that's actually one of the reasons why I'm hesitant to just like make the community or the Chaos Club just like open doors. That's one of the reasons why I don't want it to be just free,
Yeah.
because then everyone comes in, and with our world today, like that, how do you make that a safe place when
Yeah.
it's just like everybody's in here,
Everybody's in it.
anybody's talking? They could say I'm a Christian, and now they're inside, they're inside of the safe world that we're trying to build together.
Let in the snake.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and also, as I can bring people in smaller, so to speak, there can be those relationships really built. Not only is it like, oh, these are all people who are invested to be on this community, but like if there's hundreds of us and we haven't really developed any connections yet, it's that thing that happens for so many people where they go to a church and it was 50 people and then there's a lot of growth and now there's suddenly 400 people. And it's like, do you know anybody on a Sunday morning anymore?
Yeah.
And that's when like the small group experience comes so important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like I'm literally thinking in that way as we continue to develop the Order Chaos Club. I was talking with a brother who's considering being part of the beta development team, who is like, man, I really could use like some small groups. And I'm like, yeah, that would be dope. As he's writing like his third book right now.
Oh,
you know?
wow.
But he's been stalling like 6 months now. And like, he's like, man, if I was in a community that could be encouraging me, that they know my goals that I've already stated, and they're going to be like, hey, how's that book coming? You know?
Yeah.
That's one of the things that we need. And that only can happen in those trusted circles and people where they even know what to call out on you. Like, hey, you said you had this goal.
Exactly.
Like, how's that going? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
How can we help you with that? You know?
Yes.
Otherwise, you could just show up, say whatever thing you wanted to say, and then it's like, all right, good job. You know, but it's like no one really knows the truth.
No one knows that you've been just sitting around doing nothing for months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm excited about just how that's going to continue to develop. So communities can also bring diverse opinions and expertise or perspectives. How have you, if you have, navigating conflicts in communities like that, where you have these different thoughts and opinions, maybe even just personality differences? And what are some things that you think can be done to help maintain unity? Because we know as the church, that's important, while also embracing diversity.
Yeah.
A tough one.
I think what's missing is just the baseline of respect. I think people say, oh, I respect you, but they don't really mean it. Because if I respect you and I care about you, I'm going to see you as a whole person. I'm going to recognize you are a person of color. You are a woman. You are this, you are that. I'm not going to say, oh, I just see you as a Christian. Like, no, because then you don't see me. So it's like, I think we need to respect each other as who God created us to be. God created me as a Black woman. God created you as a Black man. So I can't just be like, oh, I respect you as my brother in Christ. I need to see the whole you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's missing in a lot of communities is people, they put you in a box where they want you to be. And that's the level of respect that you're going to get. So then when you show up as this person that they don't want you to be, it's like, I don't know. No, I don't respect that.
It's like, why are you talking about yourself in a way that fits outside of the box that I understood you to be? Like, that I don't understand that.
Yeah.
This is what I understand. Like
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love how you brought it back to that respect. And like I even talked about this a bit in the last episode of the podcast, but the beauty in the diversity that God has put into creation. I mean, you just look, and even just taking humans out of the picture, just look at creation in general. Like,
yes,
there's such diversity, there's such uniqueness in all the different things that He's created, and it's not like accidental and happenstance. Like it's all different ways and different flavors of the creative genius of God.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And for us to then look to ignore the things that make everything different, and just like, if we were to just treat everything like, oh, well, your creation and your creation, instead of saying, well, you are a beautiful blue hummingbird and you are wonderful white geese and you are an amazing, green, like, yes, it's all creation, but like there's unique things that each element creation is able to bring to this, that is, or demonstrating, displaying this wonderful mosaic, this beautiful, diverse tapestry,
exactly,
that God looks to build. And so now the challenge, though, is as we as you know, these different unique ones that, if we're even talking creatively, that have different creative things that we bring to the table. The challenge is that we have to do this dual work of um, humility and confidence. The humility to accept and allow others to be very different than we are,
Mm-hmm.
to have very different styles, opinions of what is art, or even just what is their own version of creativity. So we need that humility to say, okay, you know what? Maybe my way, maybe my bent, my flavor is not the way. It is the
Yes,
way. But then we need to have the confidence to know that my way also matters.
exactly.
You know, that it's not just accepting others, but also the self-acceptance that, like,
Mm-hmm.
God put, just like he put what's in there that matters and that's important, and I need to embrace that. I need to embrace what he put in me.
Yep, that's
And
good.
really allow that to shine and that to come, because then if you were only accepting theirs, like, we don't know this all the time, but like, we're actually doing a disservice to the creation that God is putting out there, because of
Mm-hmm.
theirs. Like, think about a choir, and if you've got a bass, an alto, and a soprano, and you're the bass, and you're going in with only the humility to listen to the alto and the soprano, there is a deep resonance that is missing in this song,
Yeah,
until you decide, yeah, but the bass matters. Let me
exactly.
come with confidence to bring my, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And like, God's the master conductor out here, like, I want this choir to hum. I want it to sound
Mm-hmm.
perfect,
Yeah.
and we need everybody to do that. So I think for us, as if I'm even, understanding a bit more about you, um, we need to, because I think we've got more of the humility to understand and accept others.
Yes.
We need to now have that confidence to bring our note, to bring our brushstroke, to bring our sentences
So good.
to this creative conversation,
Exactly.
so that the full picture of what God created is on display.
Yes, that's so good. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going there. I love how God works in these
Yes.
conversations. So,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, so as we wrap this up here, Jariel, this has been an amazing conversation. We have some little bit of fun here with some questions. So I've got some would you rather type questions, and we're gonna go kind of fast with these. Give
Okay.
me your thought, and then let me know a little bit of why. Okay, so we're gonna start with a fun one.
Okay.
Would you rather have the superpower to create art that comes to life, or music that controls emotions?
I would say music that controls emotions. Just so because I hate to see people sad. So just to bring everybody back up.
That'll make everybody happy. That sounds
Hmm.
like you. What about this? Would you rather be able to speak every language fluently, or be able to play every musical instrument perfectly?
I say
Ooh,
speak
that's good.
fluently. I'm always,
Yeah.
when I hear people speaking foreign language, I want to be a part of that so bad. Like, I'm just like, man, I want to know what there's.
And that makes sense. I mean, I think there's a desire to communicate that's
Yes.
baked into somebody whose creative bent is towards writing. So
Yes,
that's
exactly.
and to that point, I got two more. Would you rather write a book that changes one person's life forever, or write a book that's a bestseller but has little lasting impact? Ooh,
Take just one person's life forever. And
good
honestly,
answer.
that's
Good
a
answer.
new thought for me because when I was younger, I'd probably say bestseller, but now it's like,
Mm.
you know what? It doesn't matter how many people it reaches as long as it reached who it was supposed to.
Yeah, yeah, and actually have that change, have an
Yes,
impact.
yes.
Okay, last question. Let me try to pick a good one. Here we go. This one about writing too. Would you rather have the ability to write endless stories but never get to share them, or only write one story that everyone reads?
Oh. I would say endless stories because I feel like there's always ideas flowing out of me. And then so
Mm.
I'll even wake up in the middle of the night and I'll be like, oh, that'll be a good idea for a story. So I think if I was limited to one, I'd probably explode.
And And I think that makes sense as your answer because you're at the place right now where you're struggling to share them anyways.
Exactly.
All right. Awesome. Well, Jarael, thank you so much for being here in this conversation. Look forward to the next time that we're going to get to chat. We'll be looking to do this again and maybe with some of the other co-hosts in a
Yes.
month, and we're going to be focusing on story. So I think that's going to be a great one for you as we talk about the power of our story and storytelling as it relates to the integration of faith and creativity. So with that, thank you so much for being on the podcast, Jarael.
Oh, thank you.
Well, that was today's episode. I hope you guys really enjoyed the discussion that Jarael and I got as it relates to the power of community and some of the challenges in there. I wonder, what are your stories with community? Why don't you go ahead and let me know at theorderedchaosclub.com. You can reply to this episode, or you can do that in the comments on the YouTube channel. I want to know, what are some of the places where you've had challenges or where you recognize the need for the importance of community in your life? If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to this podcast, whether you're listening on Spotify or another place, or if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you do what you need to do so you don't miss another episode. Next week, we're going to be getting into conversations around storytelling. Up into that theme, November focus within the community. And by the way, if you haven't already, the wait list is open. Go ahead and jump into the wait list. We're going to be opening it up for probably handfuls in the next week or so, and you may be one of those selected to be a part of that community. It's a quick form to fill out to let us know about the ways that you believe God shows up in your creativity, or maybe some of the places where you think creativity can be beneficial for you. And we'd love to get you in there so you can start to experience the benefits of community, as well as being a part of those that are bringing so much giftedness to this community. I can't wait to see you there, and we'll see you here on the next episode of the Ordered Chaos Club. Be blessed, be a blessing, and keep creating for God's glory. Peace.